Have you ever dreamed of working for yourself? You can finally quit that job so that you can take control of your own life, where you can actually wake up whenever you want, do whatever you want. And when you do work, you can be sitting by the pool, sipping pina coladas, and then having the total freedom to do whatever you want. Go and pick up your kids and having the life that you've always dreamed of. Well, I hate to break it to you. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. I've been an entrepreneur for more than 20 years. I've built 4 companies. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, it's not all that pretty sometimes. And what I've discovered in the last 20 years, there's an ugly side to entrepreneurship that people don't really tell you about until you really get into it and you're totally surprised. But if you guys wait till the end, I will share with you what I've learned in those 20 years that can make it all worth it. When I first started entrepreneurship, I had the dream myself of actually wanting to have this total freedom and having all this control. I was in for a rude awakening. When I started my first business, I actually did it as a side hustle while I was working at full-time engineering. So here are some of the things I want to share with you actually about what it is truly like to be an entrepreneur. So I'll start with the negatives first, and then I'll share with you some of the positive sides of entrepreneurship that people don't always tell. One of the biggest things that people talk about when they want to quit their day job and be an entrepreneur and own their own business is that they want to be passionate about everything they do. Well, unfortunately, what you realize when you're doing entrepreneurship and what you're doing as a business owner, 80% of the things you do aren't that enjoyable. Those are things that need to be done. When I was in my photography business, I was shooting weddings on the weekends. I realized is that 80% of the time, I wasn't really even shooting. I was doing all the other stuff that is required to run a business. Accounting, marketing, branding, going on social media, all these different things that I wasn't necessarily passionate about, but that was necessary to actually run the business. Looking for health insurance and all these things that you don't think about having to do, but now you're actually tasked with having to do that. So it is not all things you're going to be passionate about, but those are the things you actually have to learn and actually have to do. The second thing that they don't talk about is when they think that they want to be an entrepreneur, they can wake up whenever they want and then just do whatever they want. You actually have to be disciplined as an entrepreneur, because when you first start out, you are actually going to be probably working a full-time job and then using whatever little time you have left to actually run this business and build it from the ground up. So you actually have to be quite disciplined to make sure that you actually dedicate time to that business to make it grow. And if you don't have that discipline, you're not going to be able to run the business. What you realize is that you think you want to wake up anytime you want and then just do whatever you want whenever you want. But what the reality is that you're going to wake up knowing that you have so many things to do that if you just wake up whenever at 9, 10 o'clock, your day is going to be half gone and you're not going to be very productive. And so it sounds like you'd want to do that, but in reality, you can't really do that, especially when you first start, because you're going to have to spend so much time in the business to actually get momentum. Sometimes it takes several years before you actually build the business to a level where you can actually take your foot off the gas a little bit and actually enjoy some of that. Another ugly truth of entrepreneurship is that when you actually have a job, the HR stuff, the accounting, the tax stuff, and all the health insurance and 401k, all those things are handled for you by all these different departments. When you actually work for yourself, you actually have to figure it out all yourself. You actually have to take care of your own accounting. You actually have to set aside money and be disciplined to set aside money that you've earned to pay your taxes. You actually have to find health insurance for your family by yourself. And hate to break it to you, it's really expensive when you actually have to pay for the full price of health insurance for your own family. That was a shocker for me. That was a big surprise when I actually had to pay for my own health insurance. So those are the things that you don't actually think about when you are working for a company. You get a W-2 at the end of the year and all that stuff is handled for you. But when you have your own company, you actually have to set all that stuff up yourself. So that takes quite a bit of time. And you actually spends a lot of time investigating all these different services so that you pick the right one that saves you the most money. Another big thing that they don't tell you about in entrepreneurship is that you're going to be so uncomfortable. You may be really good at one thing. Like when I started my photography business, I was good at photography. And what I didn't realize is that when you start a business, you are taking on the hat of a photographer, and then you taking on 14 other roles. So you are now the accountant, you are the marketing manager, you're the hiring manager, you are the payroll guy, all these different hats. So you're in constantly learning mode and you're constantly being uncomfortable because you don't know what you're doing. And if you're not comfortable with being uncomfortable, you're not going to do very well in entrepreneurship. One more thing that I forgot to mention earlier is the stress. There are so many times in all the businesses that I've run where cash flow is an issue, where you're not getting paid for your projects, your vendors aren't working out well for you. You have to deal with all these different stresses in the business. And the beautiful thing about having a business is that you actually have control over all these. But the bad side of it is that you have control, or you think you have control of all these things, but you don't. And you're at the whim of a lot of different people. There's always a fire to put out in a business. Every day you're putting out fires. And it is very exhausting and very stressful. And it's actually how you deal with that stress is going to dictate whether you're going to be successful or not. One more thing that they don't really talk about is the sacrifices that you actually have to make as an entrepreneur. Like I said earlier, if you are starting out as a side hustle, you are going to be not having the free time anymore to go hang out with your friends. On the weekends, you're probably going to find yourself actually working on the business. So it's the sacrifices that you're going to have to make that people don't quite always appreciate when they first start. They're like, holy crap, there's so much to do that I can't go to a friend's birthday party. I need to go stay in on a Saturday morning to actually work on my business. I need to go work on the evenings. I can't watch my TV shows like I normally do, just hang out and binge watch for 3 hours. You can't do that anymore because there's so much work that you have to do on the business to get it going. And at some point, you're gonna have to make certain sacrifices in the business. I assure you, it is well worth it if you build the business of your dreams that supports the lifestyle. But it is a big part of building a business because you have to take that time from somewhere, right? You already work in a full-time job, but you have to have time somewhere in your day life and your night life to be able to take care of that business and actually start the business. And the last thing I want to tell you guys about the ugly truth of entrepreneurship, there is no such thing as an overnight success, guys. What they don't really tell you is that what looks like an overnight success story, those people probably spent the last 10 years building up to be the person that would be able to run a business that is an overnight success. They've had numerous failures. They've been working on their craft for many, many years to get to that point where they actually are able to build a business that is phenomenally successful. And that's what they don't realize is that everything takes time. The person that you are right now is not the person that's going to be able to run a company because you don't have the skill set, you don't have the mindset yet, and you need to develop all those things. You're going to have to learn either by learning from somebody or learning it through trial and error. And so that is what's going to take time. If you guys have enjoyed the video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share this video with anybody you think would gain value from it. I would want to build our communities with more like-minded individuals. I know I just went through a lot of negative things about the entrepreneurship, but let me tell you this, it's not all doom and gloom. There are certain things about entrepreneurship that actually make all of this worth it. Here are the things that make entrepreneurship worth all the stress, all the strain, all the sacrifices. When you are working on a business, you are building a legacy. You are building something that you could potentially pass down to your family. You are building, through your blood, sweat, and tears, something that you can actually hand down to your family, but also build something that is for you. And when you are working for somebody else, you are actually building their dream. I know that when you work in your own business, you can work twice as hard, and it's going to actually be so much more fulfilling because you know that it's for you and not for somebody else. Another positive is that you have the ability to directly affect and impact so many lives. The reason that people love entrepreneurship is that you actually have the vision to build whatever you want to change the world. And the last part I really want to share with you in all the businesses that I've built over the years is that ability to feel like I'm actually making a difference in the world. That I'm actually growing as a person, but also helping so many other people in a way that I could have never done working for somebody else. And despite all the things that I say were negative, guys, these are the things, the fulfillment, the growth, and the feeling of impact and contribution that you can do in your business makes all of this truly worth it and makes entrepreneurs something that is so appealing. And the freedom that you will eventually get when you build the business right and you work yourself out of the business and you're going to be a business owner and not an operator, you are actually going to have the ability to travel, to have the flexibility to do whatever you want, whenever you want. But you're not going to do it at the beginning. It's going to take time, but I know that you guys are going to stick with it and actually go through with it to the point where you actually build a company that fulfills and actually serves your life and your family's life. I hope you guys enjoyed it today. Take care and watch for our other videos that would help you more with entrepreneurship and business planning. Bye-bye.